Glenn, why are you the best person to lead USI into a general election, and outline how you will communicate the case for publicly funded education?
I stood on the premise last year that our national campaign wasn't working, that it was every year disappearing after the budget in sort of a pop-up style, and that ultimately if we actually wanted to really make an impact on getting a more affordable education for students and young people and everybody across the island, that we were ultimately going to have to change that. We're going to have to be more consistent, we're going to have to change it up a little bit, and ultimately I could have followed the same role this year and sort of made the national campaign and higher education funding issue disappear after the budget, but ultimately that wasn't the high road that we took. We took a different approach to that this year. We decided that we would actually bring it into the new year and try to tie this national campaign into the next Officer Boards one to give that continuity of approach. We're also, having the conversation now and making sure that people know where USI stands on the issue of public education and higher education funding, because ultimately a couple of years ago USI didn't really know where it stood itself. We had a fees referendum that almost split the entire student movement into smithereens. I've always been a strong believer in free education, and I still am to this day, and I certainly, in times when it actually wasn't popular in student circles to say so, I was castigated for it. So I genuinely believe that now that there's consensus on that, and having helped build that consensus, there's no better person to make sure that we actually communicate that message going forward. And then make this very clear when I say public education and higher education is a public good. I'm not just talking about funding, I'm talking about democratisation of higher education as well, to make sure that regulation is fair to students and to make sure that we're actually equal academic partners in college campuses and not just viewed as items on a production line, literally going from one end of it to the other and into an unpaid internship afterwards. In terms of the general election though, folks, it's genuinely about our power once more. Ultimately we can lobby all we like, but we have to be backing that up with the ground campaign as well. I've shown this year that I haven't been afraid to bring back the national focus, and that was a good reboot to the student movement. Now we have to push forward, we have to build alliances, we have to make sure that we look to international examples like how Germany abolished tuition fees recently. We can constantly and consistently campaign. It's not a case of where we campaign though. I'm not going outside Dublin and telling colleges out west that we're going to be bringing things outside Dublin and not mentioning that in Dublin when I get back into the capital. But ultimately it's about how we campaign, and it's about how often we do it, and it's about why we do it, and it's about remembering why we do it, and it's about functioning collectively as a movement. So elect me as USI President, and we will make sure that people know going into this general election that fees is the issue.